Hello dear everyone, today I would like to introduce a very powerful game development tool. It's called Construct 3. It's cross-platform, it is powerful, and it can be used to develop different types of games, such as platform games, puzzle games, bullet games, racing games, rhyme party games, and even no game. Also use the advanced features of this platform, we can develop not just games but also interactive learning tutorials and multimedia. Here I would like to present a short quick demo about the fundamental elements of Construct 3. So before we get started, let's take a look at these useful resources and tips. For example, there is a LAN that provides multiple tutorials help you to get familiar with this platform. Also, we can access these resources by click Get Started and then launch Construct 3. We can see there will be Start page here, which also provide us useful examples, demos, and templates here. Now I would like just to use a new project to present this short demo. Let's just name it as test, change the size, and then create. So we can see basically there are three tabs: Start page, Layout, and Event sheet. We will first work on the layout. On the layout, let's consider what do we want to develop. For example, I'm going to develop a shooting game. Then first of all, we need to have a background. We need to have a shooter and the monsters, which the shooter to shoot, bullet, and the explosion effects. Now let's add them one by one. First, we can insert new objects here and choose the background here. We use the textured background here and then change the size. We can make it into okay. So now this will be our background, and we need to insert other objects. First of all, we need to add input devices, keyboard, and also mouse. They show up here, and then we need to add other objects. All of the players, monsters, they are all spirits. We want to either draw or we can choose free resources. And you can see here we can add animations and image points. For example, we can give it an image point here, to shoot. This is the player. We want to rename it appropriately for our own convenience. Now we want to add monsters. Let's choose a monster. And if we want to change, we can change it to different angles. For example, we can make it face the player and want to rename it again. Similarly, we can insert new spirits, such as here, the bullet. and we want to rename it as bullet. The last one, we want to add an expulsion. And we want to make it smaller. Compatible to the full size. As we rename it, it will be easier for us to edit them. After we have added all these objects, we need to add behaviors to each of them. Behaviors are quick ways to make an object act a certain way, and it's easier and simpler and more standardized than the event sheet. So, for example, we can add platform behavior to or solid to a floor, or like here, for example, for the players, you can see at the property bar. We want to add behaviors first. At least we want it to move, to be able to move in 8 directions. And also we want to be able to scroll and bound to layout. And we can check if the characteristics are good. For the monsters, we want the monster to be able to move too, but they don't need to move in 8 directions. They just only need to do the bullet movement, means from one direction to another direction, and we don't want it to move so fast. And enable the angles. For the bullet, also we want to have it add bullet movement and make it run faster than the monsters. Fulfills the common sense. And for the expulsion, we want to add a fade. We can always come back to edit these behaviors to make them fulfill our needs. For example, in the future, we can add variables here or make the behaviors even more complicated. Today, we will just use these behaviors. Okay, after this, we want to make more instances of the monsters. For example, we can just use Control and drag to make it into multiple instances. After we have set up the layout here, let's go back. Now let's go to the event list, which is the most important part. It sets the variables, conditions, consequences, actions, and others. It can be very complicated and make our game powerful and engaged. Here we will just do some very basic actions. First of all, for the player, we want the player to be able to face different angles. It is in the system. For every tick, we want the player be able to set angle to face to reflect the placing of our mouse. So we can use mouse to control the direction. And also we want the player be able to shoot. So it means when we click the mouse, for example, if we left click the mouse, the player should be able to shoot. It means it be able to spawn another project, which is the bullet. And we can add it to the layer and the image point if we need here. So this is what the player should do. What about the monster? At the beginning of the game, the monster should show up randomly. So for the system, on the start off layout, we want the monster to set angles to, we can set it randomly, for example, random 300 degree. And also, if the monster is outside the layout, we want it to come back. So come back to let's come back to the player. So here we put in the player. After we set up the monster, then we need to set up the action of the shooting, which means when the bullet is on collision with the monster, then what will happen? First of all, the monster can be destroyed. Or if we want, we can add a variable of life to the monster and deduct 1 point every time. And we want the bullet to spawn the explosion effect. And also we want the bullet to destroy too. Okay, now we have set up the basic setting and we can test on the layout by click here. We can see we can move it and we can shoot. Now we may think we need more functions. For example, if the monster hit the player maybe need to deduct health, life. So in the future, we have a lot to explore for these games. We can add variables such as life, health to the player or to the monster. We can add global variables such as scores. And we can add notifications if the game ends. We can add more animations and more functions. And then after that, we can save it and deploy it to different platforms. So this is our short demo today, and then let's explore it together and have fun. Bye.